Hey, Kevin. This is a great song, but what about, I'm in the mood for like Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's so great to see you all. I'm sure these guys feel the same.
Okay. Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Yes. Kevin. Okay, I love the song, but it just made me think of Morning Has Come. That is such a good song. It's got that great part where it goes way high.
One more.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
If you're here for the first time, it may help to know that services aren't always beginning with such frequent and enthusiastic shifting. The shifting that Randy's been embodying for us, and very wonderfully, thank you. The energy associated with the part of us that's drawn to see amazing and compelling possibilities around every corner. In the language of the Enneagram, which is a tool for exploring the depths of our personalities through 9 different forms and expressions, this is the energy associated with sevens and the sevenness in each of us. The enthusiast, the multitasker, the wunderkind, the connoisseur, the entertainer, the energizer. As we were preparing for the service, the movie Up came to mind, and the scenes in which the various dogs are mid-conversation and suddenly distracted by squirrel. They'll be talking again and squirrel. Sevenness isn't quite that simple or simplistic, but this is the enthusiastic, bold, optimistic, vivacious, creative part of us that seeks pleasure and that can be distracted by bright and shiny newness, and that looks endlessly to the future. As to why, that's another part of the story. Today we explore the 7 in us and in others in support of realizing our most authentic and true selves. Or as some of us would see it, in support of being who we were made to be. And as still others of us might put it, in support of being who God made us to be. Come, whoever you are, let us invest this hour in our own journey, invest this hour in each other, and so invest this hour in the well-being of all the worlds we touch.
I want to get a chance to use this thing. Okay. Sometimes the original way is the best way. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun, and we're just at the welcome. Good morning. My name is Randy McKean. I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. As Reverend Kevin said, today we're exploring sevenness, the enthusiast part of ourselves, on this Sunday in April, whose theme is interdependence, which I like to take to mean as connection. So do these two things relate? Yes, I say. The desire for connection with others drives the enthusiast. So I play 7, 8 instruments and sing, and currently I'm in 5 bands. But what I love most about each band is the creative synergy among its members. It draws me to multiple groups. Each of them are different, unique. But then I also have dabbled with so-called solitary pursuits to fill this need for connection. Fiction writing, poetry, graphic design, and always collecting. Comic books, CDs, 19th century Russian novels, foreign films. So collectors are often perceived as solitary hoarders surrounded by helter-skelter bric-a-brac. We are that, but also we are people who are attempting to connect to others through their creations. So I recently turned 60, and the dawning realization that I have an ever-dwindling amount of time and floor space left to me is making me a little crazy. So why do I think I need all these things? Isn't what I already have without and within me enough? Well, no matter our age or level of acquisitiveness, the challenge is figuring out a healthy level of enthusiasm that will bring about the connections we desire. I mean, we may need to juggle multiple commitments to keep the blood pumping, or we may just need to find that one poem that calms and soothes us. By finding out how others navigate this challenge, perhaps together we can figure out what is right for each of us. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of the mountains. I enthusiastically look forward to connecting with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Randy. So let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. People in whom type 7 qualities are strong are full of ideas. Let me get to my right spot here. They are versatile, spontaneous, playful. They and this part in each of us love to discover things before they are popular. This is an insatiable appetite for new, for exciting experiences, for more and different. 7ness radiates joyful optimism. 7s can also become overextended, scattered, exhausted, being on the go all the time, impatient, impulsive, Renaissance persons with many interests a mile wide and an inch deep. This is the part of us that wants to ensure that everyone's going to have a good time. And a good time means, in this case, an experience that's full of positivity and connection and good vibes. So cynicism, grouchiness, and negativity are often very frustrating to 7s. This is the part of us that's looking for true freedom, happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment. This is also the part of us afraid of being bored or trapped or limited. The part of us prone to FOMO, fear of missing out on almost anything. The part of us that feels that the grass is always greener somewhere else. I've shared the story before of my family picking strawberries in the summer for summer income. So I was very young, but the idea is you take a row and you pick that row and you're paid by volume. So the more you pick, the more you get paid. And so you want big berries, right? And lots of them. So I'd start in my row and it'd be great at first, right? Big berries, lots of them. Then it could start to get thin, right? Small, not very many, not quite ripe yet. And I'd look over at my mom's row or my dad's row and see all these beautiful berries. So I'd say, can I switch? And they always said, sure. And we'd swap rows and I'd be great for about 2 minutes. And then my row would thin out and I'd look over at the row I was in and have all these big, beautiful berries. Happened again and again. This is something's always better, right? Somewhere else. 7s are one of the head types, meaning that they find their awareness primarily through thinking, which might surprise you. You would think all that enthusiasm, right, might be body-centered or heart-centered, all that joy. But The idea is that sevens are actually thinking ahead to the next exciting thing, right? It's actually imagination and thinking about what's coming that's really the driver. And so the challenge is that sevens sometimes miss the moment, right? Because it's always on the next thing instead of what's now. Our heart and our body actually miss out on what's actually happening because there's a possible good thing coming. And we'll get to why a little bit later. The countries that are said to hold seven qualities, what do you think? What countries might embody sevenness, this enthusiastic joyfulness, according to some people? And this is just playful. Sorry? Mexico, I hear. Italy, Australia. Denmark, Brazil. They could all be. Brazil is one of the main ones named, right? Think of Mardi Gras, right? That colorful exuberance. The other one is Ireland, actually. If you think in the direction of Irish pubs, that's the direction they're going. The animal said to embody seven qualities? Corgis. The squirrel. People are speaking from personal experience, right? Monkey often, right? High energy, social, active. Some famous sevens. Robin Williams. Wow, right? Carol Burnett, Kevin Hart, Goldie Hawn, Mozart, Joan Rivers, Lil Nas X, Leonard Bernstein, Steven Spielberg, Joy from the animated movie Inside Out, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, John F. Kennedy, Peter Pan, Eddie Murphy, and a whole slew of other comedians. In fact, comedians are a great entry to looking at what motivates sevenness and what's difficult about sevenness. What drives a seven's relentless energy toward joyful engagement is at the base of it all, fear. It's fear of being deprived, of deprivation, fear of being trapped, ultimately a fear of facing one's own emotional pain. The reason to stay so endlessly and apparently happily engaged and positive is to avoid having to feel the painful truths inside. Many comedians who on the outside appear to be having such a great time suffer from depression. I see the nods, you know this. Robin Williams is a profound example. Oh my goodness, what an extraordinary human being. That creativity, that mind, that ability to synthesize that high energy and sense of fun, all while wearing, it turns out, what people call the mask of depression. Right? I shared in the service description that the Laugh Factory, the comedy club in Hollywood, has a psychologist-in-residence for its comedians, and for good reason. Many people who identify as sevens had feelings when they were very young of not getting what they needed, often materially. Not necessarily negative, just a sense of not getting what they needed, and sometimes emotionally, especially from the person they saw as the person from whom they got most of their nurturing, right? If they didn't get material needs met or emotional needs met from that person, they often kind of move this direction if that's their propensity. Unconsciously, they took on the message that they have to take care of their own needs, it looks like, apparently, I have to take care of my own needs, and they learned to draw on the power of their imagination, the power of their thinking to anticipate the good things that could come their way. Someone said that for sevens and the seven in us, pursuits in life are like eating cotton candy. They're wonderfully sweet and colorful, but they disappear quickly as you're eating them, right? It dissolves so quickly. As Abraham Lincoln put it, we had one of the quotes in the slides before the service, with the catching ends the pleasure of the chase. This is the trap for our sevenness, a kind of gluttony, taking in, trying to fill an empty emotional space with wonderful things that can never really fill it. And at the same time, and in the process, avoiding feeling the pain of not getting what we really need by staying focused on and distracted by the future and the new and the shiny and the wonderful. Now, sevens don't necessarily realize this, because as another way of staying clear of that pain, which would hurt too much, sevens have a very powerful and often unconscious gift for reframing things positively, for seeing the glass half full, including their own childhoods, right? Reframing as positive. What's the good I see? I have a whole bunch of this, by the way. Some of you will have noticed that every personality aspect we've been talking about all year includes one particular way of avoiding pain, right? They're all different, unique ways to avoid what hurts, right? Or they're coping ways. Big public seven-ish personalities like those famous comedians, they present a really strikingly visible pattern of trying to keep joy and sorrow separate, right? In fact, it becomes their career. Joy is their career. But in part, what's going on is they're trying to push away their own sadness, their own hurt, their own pain. So we aren't going to leave it there, but for this moment, I invite us to enter this community's weekly ritual meant to help us integrate joy and sorrow by acknowledging the entire range of our feelings, meant to remind us that joy and sorrow are thoroughly intertwined, woven together in these ever-changing proportions, and that this is the truth of human life. This is the truth of being human. This is the hard thing for the seven in us to come to terms with. This is it. It's all in there. We get all of this wrapped up together. So our weekly ritual is an invitation to be still long enough. This is the challenge for sevenness, to be still, because then you start to feel maybe, right? So it's an invitation to be still long enough to see what's present in this moment, to see what this moment holds, and to be still long enough to notice and to feel a little bit more of what's there. The amount that we can tolerate right now, including as much pain as we can face, knowing, and at the same time, gratitude for what is already in our lives. This is another challenge for seven and a spiritual practice for sevenness. To stop, be still long enough to say, instead of what's around the corner, what do I already have? What's already right here?
So being a worship associate, I have spoken here many times, and often, most of these times I would guess, I talk about music. I studied composition and jazz in college. The act of improvising, spontaneous composition, if you will, is the closest thing I have to a spiritual practice. Others meditate. I play 12 choruses of All the Things You Are. But being an enthusiast, I'm never quite satisfied with what I've done. I'm always looking for a new way to play something. And like instead of a blues scale, what does it sound like if I superimpose the melodic minor starting on the 7th scale degree? Or when I get to the 5 chord, how about I modulate up a half step before I return to the tonic? Yeah, you know, stuff like that. But one of the things that makes this or any music interesting is the use of tension and release, where you are stepping outside of a given key, making things sound a little bit dissonant, but then returning to the correct notes. It catches people's ears, makes them sit up a bit, like what are they doing now? But it's difficult to create tension or release if you haven't established a starting point. For me, as a listener, I always want to know where we are in the song. There are many strategies to navigating harmonic changes, but it can get to be a problem if you stray too far afield from what's on the page. I mean, in fact, it's pretty simple. People want to hear the melody. So when I was studying jazz improv as a freshman in college, one week our homework was to improvise over 3 blind mice. It's a very straightforward tune, one that most of us have been singing since we were very small. You would think that would be easy. It was not. Standing in front of your peers, you want to impress everyone with how many notes you can play, with how you can twist this rhythm around. But once you start adding things, it can be easy to lose track of where you are in the song. In fact, it happened to me just Friday night playing somewhere. But what's fun to do is to change things gradually, to bring your listener along with you. Drop hints now and then. If they have an inkling as to where you are, that's more enjoyable for everyone. Like one of the masters of this is the tenor saxophonist, Sonny Rollins. He's one of those players where at times you can almost hear what he's thinking. His album Saxophone Colossus has many examples of this, including a version of Moritat, otherwise known as Mac the Knife. It's very fun. Okay, so now that I have described the challenges, I will now attempt to put my money where my mouth is. Toby and I are going to play the tune Sigismund, which is what Find the Stillness is based on. The challenge is to calm the sevenness and not overthink it. First thought, best thought. But in fact, you can't really think about what you're doing. It's best to play and be in the moment. Let the song be your guide.
Randy and Toby, I'm so lulled by that. I'm ready to be quiet now or listen to it for another 45 minutes and be totally calm and centered, present. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. You're such a good fit for this service, Randy. So I know some of you have been digging into the Enneagram for decades. What else needs to be said about sevens and sevenness? What haven't I said yet? It feels important to name now that we're in our calm space. Hanging on to youth. It's a feature sevens might pursue. Learning from them is an important possibility, yeah. I would name that it's important to know that the joy and the enthusiasm of the seven in us is very, very real, right? That's a genuine joy and enthusiasm. That's not the issue. In fact, it's our great superpower, our sevenness superpower, the power of genuinely positive thinking, the creative ability to see interesting ideas and positive possibilities almost anywhere. That's the great gift. Unitarian Universalism, our chosen and very optimistic tradition, draws wisdom from many sources, including other religious traditions, and this is sometimes accused of extracting the easy and accessible parts of other religions and leaving the more challenging parts behind. For example, forgiveness, or for missing the mark, known in some circles as sin, the parts that ask us to acknowledge our flaws and our failings and our humanity and our hurts. We are accused of being unhealthily seven-ish sometimes, hiding our pain and our humanity in our shadow where we don't see them. Thank you very much. But at our best and most whole, our deep ability to see possibility almost anywhere is our superpower as a tradition. It's what allowed so many of our ancestors to leave traditions that were not feeling right to them, because they could see possibility beyond what they felt was limiting in that tradition or limiting them. And we are going to need that superpower, my friends. We need it now, especially while the rest of humanity and we are in this intertidal zone, as I heard it in a documentary this week. This intertidal zone, they put it, between what was and what will be, sometimes above water, sometimes below water, cycling back and forth as all kinds of tides roll in and cover us and roll out and leave us open. Roll in, cover, roll out, leave us. It's a scary and fertile, fecund space, this intertidal zone. I got a chance to live into it in South Carolina. It is amazing, those marshy intertidal zones. And just as the great gift of jazz artistry arises from being creative while staying grounded in and not straying too far from the melody, when our seven-ish joy and creativity and optimistic enthusiasm are grounded in an open-eyed and open-hearted, honest awareness of life and ourselves, including our willingness to face the difficult and painful things about us, the difficult and painful things inside, then that creative, optimistic, infectious seven enthusiasm can change lives and change the world for the better. Indeed it has, and it will again. So I invite us to claim our superpower in its fullness, to remember the melody, to be creative and optimistic and see possibility, but remember the melody too at the same time. So may it be, and so above and below water, may we be together. Amen. So we intentionally wanted to go from frantic to calm, but boy, we did, didn't we? Went to very calm. We're going to end with a combination of things to do closing words and closing song. Often we do two different things, right? We'd sing a closing song and have some closing words in the spirit of honoring the path of sevenness, right? Instead of doing more, we're going to do less. We're going to do them together. I'm going to invite us to sing Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Amen, this word in Hebrew that essentially means yes, so be it. It's an affirmation of what we have said and are holding up. It's a yes. Ashe is also a yes from the Yoruban language that originated in Nigeria and Africa. So it means yes, very much like amen does, or as someone else put it, I dig it. There's another way to say Ashe. But it's also a word that means life force. And perhaps its most important meaning is, it speaks to the power to create through what we say, right? So through the saying of something, to create it. That's the strongest meaning of Ashe. And then blessed be. So I invite us to sing what will be a familiar melody, and I might toss in another word or two there, we'll see. But it's to rise in body or in spirit and to sing, starting with Amen. I invite us to remember, there we go. I invite us to remember the moment, right? This one and the present one, each one as it arrives, and to remember that we are not alone with these good words we say to each other each week to send us on our way. Together, let's carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.